So mortal, we finally meet. Unfortunately for you, this will be your grave. My two Daedric champions will crush you and bring your soul to oblivion. Now die!
Oh, you poor bastards. You don't know what you're getting yourselves into. Well, boys, I hope you enjoyed your 5-minute field trip to Skyrim.
What the fuck?
Heyo, how's it going, Internet? My name is Efrain, and I like playing Skyrim on the Xbox with mods and telling you all about those mods in a video. Thanks for tuning in. One of the many reasons I love Skyrim is because it's one of the only video games that lets you play however you like. You want to be an all-powerful fire-wielding mage determined to set the world on fire? You can do that. You want to be an indomitable Daedric knight that hacks and slashes mortals for breakfast? You can do that too. You want to be Android 18 from DBZ? Sure. Why not? This game even allows you to play it without weapons and spells, so you can roam across the land, punching the ever-living shit out of everything like Russell Crowe.
Oh my god, it's Russell Crowe! Oh my god! Why don't you mind your own business, you scrouter?
However, Skyrim's base unarmed combat is bad. It only has one skill that caters towards this playstyle, and even then it isn't viable to go about the game this way. No, I definitely know the pain. One of my first Skyrim videos was a Captain America parody trailer I made using only base game unarmed combat mechanics. It's still on my channel and one of my personal favorites. Go check it out. Oh, a shameless plug you say? Yeah, you're right. The mods I'm going to be talking about today make much needed improvements to the unarmed combat system by incorporating enchantments, spells, new items, a whole new skill tree dedicated entirely to unarmed combat, some sweet fighting animations, and a sort of pseudo-race that specializes in hand-to-hand combat. So, now we can all finally fulfill our lifelong fantasy of playing as Android 18 in Skyrim. No? Is that just me? Okay. Although I'll be highlighting 2 mods in this video, there are technically 3 mods that I'll be talking about. The additional mod is quite big and I won't go in depth with it. However, I highly recommend it for the best unarmed experience. More on that later, but for now, this is the hand-to-hand skills mod in Skyrim by Pancho Joshi for the Xbox One. And the Way of the Monk mod by ShellBob15 for the Xbox One and PS4. The hand-to-hand skills mod is the quintessential mod to completely overhaul Skyrim's underwhelming unarmed play. Complete with a nifty Z at the end of skill, so you know it's pretty cool. Am I right, fellow kids? This overhaul mod is a combination of 2 Nexus mods ported over to the Xbox. They are Unarmed Warfare by Warrior Kiki and New Unarmed Hand-to-Hand Skill mod by Budcat. For a small download size of only 3.10 megabytes, you get quite a lot of content. I'm going to go ahead and cover everything that this mod has included in it, starting with the most notable gameplay change, new animations to unarmed attacks. Standard attacks remain unchanged, but power attacks now have some fucking awesome kicking animations. Clearly I'm a fan of the new additions. As a matter of fact, I saw screenshots of the animations and I was immediately sold on this mod. Right-handed power attacks now do a Patrick Swayze kick. Left-handed power attacks do a right-footed spin kick, and holding both attack buttons does a super cool cartwheel kick. Occasionally these animations don't register properly, especially if you're doing them very fast, but they almost always work in standard situations. These power attacks can only be seen in third person, and first person remains unchanged, which is understandable. It's typically easier to add these animations to full body entities, and from what I know it's just harder for adding in first person animations. I'm not a fan of playing the game in third person. However, I did make an exception for this mod and switch to third person each time I fought someone or something. These buttery smooth animations are definitely worth it. Additionally, all of Skyrim's NPCs have these animations as well, which is a bit silly. I for one am just happy that my character no longer does that ridiculous wind up Looney Tunes punch anymore, and honestly that's all I really cared about. The next biggest addition that comes with this mod is the all new skill tree. There are a total of 14 new unarmed perks found in the light armor category. Let me quickly talk about some of the more interesting perks in this skill tree. The first is Martial Arts, which acts like the beginning perk of every weapon skill, increasing attack damage in 20% increments until your fists do double damage at level 80. Mean Right Hook at level 30, which has a pitiful 10% chance to knock down enemies. In theory this may sound good, but consider landing a power attack on an enemy with heavy armor, absolutely nailing them with a fierce kick that does piss damage, and then having a 1 in 10 chance of knocking them down. Spoilers, it hardly works, and when it does it, it's very disappointing. Drunken Boxer, which is admittedly the most creative skill I've ever seen. This skill rewards you with extra attack damage after drinking alcohol. That opens a giant possibility for a really fun character build and gives alcohol in this game an actual use. Force Redirection, which is cool because it's like wearing a shirt made of thorns that sometimes does partial damage back to the attacking enemy. Martial Synergy, which is like Mean Right Hook except this now applies to standard attacks, meaning that Mean Right Hook is essentially useless. And finally, Transcendental Enlightenment, which of course is the best skill in combat power attacks, emit a giant's effect, meaning that there's just like this kind of smoke cloud around them that stagger enemies and has a paralyzing effect. 25% of the time you connect with a power attack, of course. Interestingly enough, it's the only perk that really allows you to combat multiple enemies, and it's offered only at the end of the skill tree. You commonly fight groups of enemies in this game all at once, and in other weapon skills, you get this perk much earlier on to combat multiple enemies at once. I don't think it was a sound decision to put this at the last perk of the skill tree. Other perks found in the skill tree include damage resistances to both magical and physical, however I didn't find it extremely significant. You're going to end up putting a lot more skill points into the unarmed and light armor category than you're going to want to, and still you're going to be struggling to fight off a lot of enemies just using unarmed combat. You may have noticed a couple perks here that aren't presented like regular perks in the vanilla game. Most perks require a specific level requirement before you can spend a skill on it. Some of the perks found in this modded skill tree don't have that, and there is a certain exploit you can use to obtain these perks without being the required level. Simply use a potion of Fortify Light Armor or wear apparel that's enchanted with Fortify Light Armor, and you can cheese this skill tree. I found this incredibly useful because I do not like the skill tree and found leveling it up a pain. I was able to fully complete the skill tree genuinely to test how a fully unarmed playthrough would go for the average player. I still believe it isn't fully viable as the unarmed effects from these perks rarely happen, making combat pretty difficult. I had to rely more on secondary skills like alteration, alchemy, and enchanting in order for my attacks to make a dent and survive a fight. Now you may think this isn't a fair assessment given that I played the game on master difficulty with a character whose armor is more for style than for function, but I still think mainly using unarmed attacks with this mod is like pulling teeth. Which is why I recommend using the incredible Ordinator mod, which completely overhauls the entire perk system and allows your skills to level up faster, giving much more consistent perk effects than the vanilla skill tree and this mod. These two mods are completely compatible except for the skill tree. No matter the load order, Ordinator will always overwrite the hand-to-hand skill tree. Ordinator even has its own unarmed skill tree, which is far better than this mod. Because it's interwoven with the light armor skill tree, the two sides of the light armor category work in tandem. The unarmed skill tree in Ordinator focuses more on movement than damage and has consistent effects that makes fighting much more easier. Plus, unarmed damage is actually stronger with Ordinator. Alright, now bear with me because I will now bravely attempt to compare the two mods and prove my claim by using math. Alright, so I was originally going to compare the two mods using math and smart people shit because I feel that would be incredibly interesting in this video, but had the sudden realization that I fucking hate math, and also fuck Efrain, nobody even cares that much. It was taking way too much time and I genuinely got upset. So instead, here is video footage of me punching a white brown guard level 27 using every perk in both skill trees to maximize damage with no added magical effects or additional mods. Just trust me on this, Ordinator is so much better.
What do you... Not quite good enough, are you? No!
I'd also like to add at this point that it took me only 15 skill points in light armor with Ordinator to get the results you see here. It took me 22 skill points with the hand-to-hand mod, plus a couple invested in the vanilla light armor category. As an additional footnote, if you choose to do the hand-to-hand skills playthrough, and you put all your points in the unarmed skill category and then you switch over to Ordinator, you essentially lose all the points you invested in the unarmed skill tree. Because it's essentially a modded skill tree, the game doesn't recognize the points you've invested in it to be legitimate. So whenever you switch over, the points that you put in the unarmed category get sent to the fucking Shadow Realm. The moral of the story here, Ordinator is the way to go. The final thing this mod adds are interesting items that increase unarmed attributes. They are invisible weapons, which are marketed as rings, and they technically are rings, and can be created at any forge. There are 3 variations that level different skills. There's a one-handed variant that levels the one-handed skill and will increase damage for every level. However, one-handed perks do not work with these items, and the same goes for the two-handed variant. The most useful variant is the light armor one, as it allows you to level up light armor whenever you punch. The other two, the only use I found for them, or theoretical use, would be if you just suddenly decided that you want to switch your conventional warrior character over to unarmed, and you want to get all the damage that you got from investing in the conventional weapon skills. And as you play, you generally just level up your light armor. When equipped, on both hands mind you, these will all increase attack speed and give your fists a slight damage boost. Even though they are in the weapons category, they technically don't count as weapons, as you still get the benefits from unarmed perks, just as if you were using 2 hands without anything equipped. Now these items can only be created with the right smithing perks, so there is no free crafting in this mod. Their damage output follows the standard weapon progression, iron being the weakest, then steel, orcish, dwarven, and so on. I'm not sure if greater gauntlets also increase attack speed. It definitely feels like it, but I'm unable to determine that for sure. Even then, the attack speed increase is just great overall, and definitely beneficial. Now, if you do want these gauntlets but don't want to spend skill points in smithing because you have dragons to kill and pussy to slay, then there is a merchant that sells these items included in the mod. Close to Riverwood, a little off the beaten path from the road you take to get to Helgen, is a dojo owned by a Khajiit martial artist. Dojo is really over glorifying it, as it's just a small cottage with a training dummy. If I put a punching bag in my garage, it doesn't then become a dojo. It's still a building where I got my first hand job, but it just has a punching bag now. Anyway, you'll find the owner of the dojo going to town on this training dummy like it murdered his family. If you talk to him, he will sell you the unarmed rings, and a white karate gi. It's ultimately just black and white mage rose, but I think it's a nice touch the mod maker decided to put in to keep up with the martial arts theme. The items he sells will get stronger the more you level up. These rings cannot be found at shops or in the wild, so these are the only 2 methods to acquire them. The last thing I'm going to share with you is the best way to level up. You can take the conventional route of playing the actual game, clearing dungeons, beating up some nerds, fighting giants with very good light armor, or download the Magical College of Winterhold mod by Sable17 and use the enchanted golem in the Hall of Elements. If you punch away at it, you can level up your light armor skill safely and faster. It takes about 20 minutes to level up your light armor skill using this method from level 20 to 30 with Ordinator, so you can get these good unarmed perks quickly and safely. I also highly recommend the Magical College mod, as it completely overhauls the college into an incredibly useful place that complements any playthrough. I have a video touring it and describing some of its features if you're interested in that as well. Wow, another shameless plug, huh? I am on fire today. And that's the hand-to-hand skills mod. Overall, I think it's pretty good. Most of the additions really help you play like a bare-knuckle badass so you can actually have fun going around punching and kicking things. The unarmed rings are really the unsung hero of this mod, as it gives your attacks the right amount of oomph to play like this effectively. The unarmed skill tree I didn't much care for, and you're better off using Ordinator. Maybe it's just because I've been using Ordinator for so long that I really can't go back to playing with the vanilla perk system. Playtesting this mod without Ordinator was about as agonizing as drowning in a vat of cum. It's gross, it's uncomfortable, and it's a consequence that stems from a very poor life decision I've unfortunately made. Now this mod definitely helps with playing the game as an unarmed character to the point of viability, but if you really want to experience Skyrim as a gorgeous, Super Saiyan slaying atomic blonde babe, then there's another mod we have to talk about.
Hey, Efrain. Yeah? Listen, man, you're my friend, and I sort of care about you. You gotta stop with the Android 18 stuff.
What? Why?
Well, first of all, the joke isn't even that funny. Second, it makes you look weird and pathetic. She's not even a real person. I mean, for God's sake, you're obsessed with a cartoon character.
She's really my heart, damn it.
Wow. Do you know how stupid you just sounded?
I agree. You sound like a stupid weeaboo, beta male bitch. Go outside and get a life. And a girlfriend. Loser, you're a loser.
You stay out of this! Now let's move on and talk about the Way the Monk mod. This is the first mod I downloaded to play around with unarmed combat. The beginning items and effects it adds are definitely helpful, and during much later stages of the game, this mod gets downright ridiculous. No pussyfooting around here, there's a lot of content to cover, so
let's just jump into it.
Where hand to hand is an overhaul mod, the Way the Monk mod gives you items and effects that transforms any character you create into a pseudo-race character, the martial arts monk. Right at the beginning of the game, the mod gives you all the core items if you choose to take them. If you're running the alternate start mod, the items can be found immediately to your left and right. If you're not running the alternate start mod for some reason, you can still find these items in the vanilla start, where you find the dead Stormcloak soldier in the Helgen Keep.
Let's go. Come on, this way. Come on, this way.
Anyway, back to the alternate start mod. To your immediate right, you'll find 3 spells on the shelf next to the statue of Mara, which are packaged in Elder Scrolls. They are Monk's Fists, Mind and Body, and Tranquility. 2 work like a regular power spell, while the third is a permanent effect. Unfortunately, you still have to subject yourself to that awful blinding effect when you read them, but other than that, they work like regular spell books. Monk's Fists is the only power I'd strongly recommend taking, as it is a permanent effect item that increases your unarmed damage by 17 points. Why it's some weird ass prime number, I don't know, but doing some quick maths here, I determined the max damage for several starting races after you take this spell. All human races and elven races start the game with a base damage of 4. Fucking really? So that means that a total of 21 damage, equivalent to the base damage of a Dragonbone War Axe. Because of their claws, Argonians start with a base damage of 10, boosting them to 27, which is the base damage for a Daedric Battle Axe. And finally, Khajiit get additional unarmed damage, making their base stat 12, boosting them to a whopping 29 damage, which is the base for a Glass Warhammer. If you want to do an unarmed playthrough, Khajiit was always the way to go. With these mods, that is still the best option, but now it's possible to do an unarmed playthrough with any race, which is why I'm a really big fan of these mods. The second power is Mind and Body, which allows you to slow time for roughly 10 seconds and also powers up your attacks in that short period. This power is disgusting and can be used to dispatch some of the toughest enemies in the game without breaking a sweat. I think it's way too powerful if you want to play this game honestly. There is no significant cooldown, so you can spam this ability in every fight you encounter, thus eliminating all the difficulty in the game. What I think would have been more interesting is if this ability behaved like a regular power that you can only use once a day. That way you would have to use it strategically rather than just endlessly spamming it in every fight. In its current state, it is only fun the first couple of times and then gets old very quickly. One major thing to note about Mind and Body is that it will occasionally glitch out. Sometimes when you activate it, you will be trapped for the rest of your life in Professor X's fucking time stop. You only have two bad options to choose from in order to fix this. The first is simply fast traveling away, however I wasn't able to do that in most situations given the restrictions of fast travel. So I had to resort to the more egregious option of reverting to a previous save. Despite this very annoying glitch, Mind and Body is very fun, but I wouldn't recommend taking it for a serious playthrough. It is much too powerful, and in the event that it does mess up, you could lose tons of progress in a quest or your overall game. The last power you can get is Tranquility or Peace of Mind as it appears in the spell list. It's pretty simple in that it is a standard power that greatly regenerates your health and stamina once a day. This, however, is the weakest addition in this mod, as the items you receive do this power's job to a much greater effect. On the table to your left of the alternate start rests a satchel with items for you to begin your life as a fighting monk. You get light armor robes, boots, and cuffs, unarmed weapons, believe me the irony is not lost on me here, and 2 rings with very powerful enchantments. The rings are enchanted with Monk's Resolve, a unique enchantment in this mod, which adds a whopping 30 points of unarmed damage plus 30 points of stamina and health points and a ludicrous health and stamina regen effect that makes you unkillable. Even the heaviest of attacks will not phase you, as you can just jump back and quickly regen health at a godly rate with this ring. Finally, you get rings found in the weapons section that can be equipped to both arms that further increase attack damage. Chief Fists just increase damage with unarmed attacks, Sparks adds shock damage, and Flaming Fists adds fire damage. There is only one variant to these items that level your one-handed skill, but will work with unarmed perks in light armor. For fresh characters, these items are stupidly overpowered, and even the mod maker has admitted that, which is why I like that these items are all optional for you to pick up. If this was a full-on race mod that transformed me into Superman the moment I stepped into the actual game, then things would get boring very, very quickly. If you're a player that just wants to come out swinging right out of the gate, then you'll be happy to take all these items. If you're like me and you appreciate the grind, the trials and tribulations of Skyrim, then I'd recommend absolutely taking Monk's Fist, Peace of Mind, the Monk's Armor, and maybe one of the Fist weapons. Either way, I'm sure you'll have fun with these items, and they are all very helpful for your unarmed adventures. Plus, if you want to pick up these items at a later point, they'll be waiting for you at the same locations, but you can't stack Monk's Fists, and without additional mods you can only wear 1 ring at a time. Now, I'm not a fan of using this mod's fist items, but the 21 weapons you can create or forge are pretty persuasive. Just like hand to hand, you need the right smithing perk to create these weapons with a metal of your choice and a filled common soul gem. They are all found in the misc category. They can even be upgraded to a much more powerful whistling version using a filled greater soul gem. Damage is based off one-handed skill, and I've seen the whistling variants go up to a stupid 300 points. The maraschino cherry on top of all of this, of course, is that each item has a small light that sort of correlates to the metal you use, which glows on top of your fist. It's a nice touch. It doesn't really do anything, but I have the mindset of a common crow and I'm simply attracted to shiny things. The final thing this mod adds are additional armors with identical, powerful enchantments, and 2 additional powers that are scattered around Skyrim. They're all simple to get, which, I am not a fan of in the slightest, considering how powerful they all are. I would have liked having a quest to acquire these items as opposed to just simply traveling each place and picking them up. It would have been interesting and added a degree of difficulty, but alas, this is what we get in this mod. A bunch of items that serve as a reward for no journey taken or hardships faced. It's all a very hollowed experience. In any event, every similar armor piece is enchanted with the same several enchantments, but all differentiate in appearance. All headwear comes with unlimited swimming so you don't drown underwater, which is cool, I guess. 20% cooldown reduction to shouts, 100 points of magicka, 100% magicka regeneration, and a 75% reduction to restoration casting. Robes and armors all come with 15 additional points to unarmed damage, 20 health points, 30 stamina points, and an unknown amount of health and stamina regen, and all I can say about that is that it's a very high percentage.
I can't feel a thing!
Gloves all come with 60 unarmed damage, a ridiculous 220% alchemy boost, and another ridiculous 220% smithing boost. And finally, all boots are enchanted with muffle and a 95% stamina regen. Each armor set also comes with a unique item, either a power scroll, ring, or necklace, which I will be telling you where to locate and what they generally do. The first set is the Fine Monk's Robes found in Whiterun, on the second story of Dragon's Reach, directly to the right of the giant balcony door. They are simply Jarl's fine clothing and a circlet. Accompanying the clothes is the power Hunker Down, which is just like the alteration spell Dragon's Hide, except it is costless and you can spam it more frequently. It grants the player an 80% resistance to physical attacks. The next set is the Temple Monk's Robes that can be seen throughout this video. These robes are unique, and I like these the most because they actually look like a Talos monk's robes. They are found in Windhelm in the Temple of Talos at the foot of the shrine. It comes with the Monk's Wandering Amulet, which grants an additional 30 points of unarmed damage, 40 points of health, 60 points of stamina, and a powerful health and stamina regen. Moving right along to the College of Winterhold in the Hall of Attainment, where you'll find the Archmonk's Robes. One of the least inspired sets right next to the Whiterun set because it's just Archmage robes. The Monk's Wandering Ring has the same enchantments as the amulet in the previous set. Going south to Riften, we'll pick up the Monk's Variant set on top of a barrel in the basement of the Bee and Barb Inn. This is just lazy. It's Thieves Guild armor, with an earring that comes with 100 run speed, 20% easier lockpicking, 20% easier pickpocketing, 20% better sneak, and 20% bartering. I might have ragged on the Whiterun and Winterhold set, but this one's the worst. Hey, we're in Riften, right? Here's just a bunch of thief shit with a god-awful ring effect that makes you glide on ice with every step you take. The run speed modifier is jarring, and the design is just lazy. Next one isn't so disappointing, as I like this one much better. Head to the basement of the guards' barracks in Dawnstar and you'll find the Excommunicated Monks set. It's a unique set and that I haven't seen in base Skyrim, so that's pretty cool. With it comes a ring that gives you a 50% resistance to all magical effects in the game. Fire, shock, frost, poison, disease, and magic. I rather like this ring as it really helps you in taking on mages or magical enemies. I actually equip it when I feel it's necessary. Finally, there's the Halcyon set in Solitude. It's found, for some reason, on the Queen's bed in the Blue Palace. These are Psijic Monk's robes, which are unobtainable in the base game. With it comes the power Striking Cobra, granting an absurd 150 points of unarmed damage for 60 seconds. And that is the way of the monk. Being completely honest, I am actually pretty disappointed with this mod. I only actually use very little of what this mod offers when playtesting because all the items and effects are pretty similar. They're all designed to make you God. Almost everything in this mod makes you too OP, and I personally don't enjoy that. It all becomes very boring quickly. There are mods that I do enjoy that add in a ridiculously powerful spell, item, or power, but most times they're accompanied by a quest, a boss battle, a new interesting location, or require lots of materials or uncommon materials to craft. Additionally, I think this mod really misunderstands the point of unarmed combat. It's Skyrim's underdog combat system. It's the best feeling in the world to best an axe-wielding bandit or a lightning bolt-chucking mage with nothing but your fists. But that feeling must be earned, and it's even better when it's earned. Taking full advantage of this mod robs you of that experience simply because you spawn in a room with OP items or you came across one of these monk satchels. It kind of feels like the mod maker was really heavy-handed with these effects, like a shitty amateur bartender. Poured out too much of the good stuff and ruined the flavor of the drink. At the end of the day, I'm still recommending this mod because the select items I've chosen to use really help with an unarmed playthrough. Monk's Fist is a great power that eliminates a lot of the grind for an unarmed character. It puts you on par with all the conventional offensive spells and weapons in the game. Additionally, you will never have to mess around with the Fortify Unarmed enchantment and freeze up your gloves so you can use another armor enchantment. Tranquility or Peace of Mind is actually a really good power if you choose to avoid all the other items in this mod. The Excommunicated Ring is also helpful and worth a trip to Dawnstar for your unarmed adventures. And finally, I'm on the fence for the fist weapons you can create at a forge. I like the hand-to-hand weapons more because they increase attack speed and have a variant that levels up your light armor, but this mod's weapons actually look better and are stronger. I'm not a fan of them leveling the one-handed skill, but that's really my only complaint with them. So there you have it. My final thoughts on these mods. Now go out there and start punching things. I hope you enjoyed this unnecessarily long video. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Efrain. Adios.